Hello and welcome to Council Watch. This is a bit odd, this video, because it's not about the meeting that we've just had, it's about the one that we're about to have tonight. An extraordinary full council meeting. There's only one item on the agenda of any consequence, and that's about the Town Hall project. Now, just so that you know what they're going to be talking about, I'll read from their agenda. To approve submission of an application to the Public Works Loan Board for an uplift to £5 million maximum, an extension on the already approved borrowing terms, noting the cost of servicing the loan should not trigger an increase in the precept. For those not really very familiar with council speak, the precept is the money they get from what we pay in taxes. So we pay it, the council get a little chunk, and that's how they actually finance themselves. And if they spend too much money, generally we're asked to pay more. Now in this particular case, they've promised that that will not be the case. Now that's sort of good, isn't it? Because, you know, we're not being asked to increase it. But, you know, we all watch Martin Lewis on the television talking about like loans and things like that. Well, loans have got to be financed. And the interesting thing is that if I think we're talking about a £4 million loan max going up to a £5 million loan max, well, that's a fair bit. Now it's got to be paid for somehow, and if we're not going to pay for it, does that mean that our services are going to reduce? Does it mean that the length of the term will increase with a corresponding increase in interest that's owed? I mean, I'm no financial expert, but if you were going to borrow £4 million and you increase it to £5 million, it's got to be paid for somehow. Now, if we, the ratepayers, are not going to pay for it, the money's got to come from somewhere. And it would be nice to have some sort of promise that they're not going to cut our services to pay for the Town Hall project, which clearly is running out of control. I mean, we're actually in the state at the moment where all the quotes that have come in are too expensive, and so they're having to cheapen them. And if you remember back, one of the things they talked about was a sort of quality threshold, you know, how much you pay and what you get for it. And they were trying to say, well, you know, we want to get quality. And it would now appear that either we accept that the specification is going to be lowered so we don't get so many nice things, or the things that we do get will be of lower quality. Now, almost certainly what's going to happen tonight is they're going to start to talk about this thing, and then it will be deemed confidential, and they'll shift the whole thing into confidential and we won't get to know. So I figured before we actually have the meeting, I'd ask the questions on here. I could put them in formally and they could actually talk about it, but I wouldn't be able to hear the answers because the sort of questions that we ask would go into confidential where the members of the public don't get to hear the results. So I figured we'd just talk about it here, you know. So this Town Hall project, it's going to be great. It's going to have a cafe in it. It's going to have all of the wonderful things like the heritage stuff, assuming it's not the heritage stuff that we've had nicked in the past and presumably nobody recovered. It's not going to have the nice big painting of the Battle of Lowestoft because presumably they haven't bought that either. I think there was some talk, wasn't there? One of the councils brought up the fact that was the actual painting they were going to buy actually the Battle of Lowestoft, or was it just a load of sort of Armada style boats shooting cannons at each other? And I suspect by the fact that they didn't buy it probably means that it wasn't the Battle of Lowestoft after all. Well, anyway, so we're looking at a building and it's going to have registrars in it. They've all agreed at long last that the registrars are going to be in the building. The town council staff will be in the building. We're going to have a cafe. That'll be good. We're going to have some meeting rooms. We're going to have a sort of museum-y thing of sorts. It's going to be very exciting. I did look to see if I could find some plans, proper plans. I can't. There's some artists' impressions on the website. So I thought, oh no, I'll head across to the planning portal, because when people put planning permission in for anything, they have to submit plans. And they're not on there either. So the planning permission which East Suffolk Council granted and Lowestoft Town Council sort of put their backing behind, or does it for them. But so there's lots of things on the planning portal, but they're not particularly informative. There's an awful lot of plans of plants, so we know exactly about the horticultural side of the Town Hall project. It's going to look very pretty. There's all sorts of nice flowery looking things going to go in there. But realistically, how many of us locals are ever going to go to the Town Hall? I think I will. I mean, I'll go and have a look round when it's all done to see where the 5 million quid's gone. But realistically, what's it for? It's basically a home for the council and it's a home for the registrars. I doubt very much that they're going to find any tenants who want to go in there and pay to have their business operating from the Town Hall, which no doubt will be cold and drafty and probably not that welcoming. And it is in a part of town that's not that easy to park in, is it? So there we go. So I'm afraid I'm a bit negative about the Town Hall project. I was negative when it was a 4 million quid loan to do it. So what we're looking at now? Well, we're looking at, the Lowestoft Town Council's contribution is going to be 5 million quid. So was it 12 million quid total before? I wonder what it'll be before the end. Perhaps we should have a bit of a gamble on it. What will 12 million quid work out in the end? Does anybody think 12 million quid is good value? Because I certainly don't. It's going to be a project that does absolutely nothing apart from put a roof over 2 departments' heads. Oh, and the cafe. And who in that part of town is going to want to go to the Town Hall for a cup of coffee? Think about that one. Anyway, so here's the prequel. Will we know what's going on tonight? I doubt it very much. Will we ever find out? Well, we'll probably just get told that they approved the 5 million quid increase. We'll probably just get told that the increase in the loan size to 5 million quid was approved by all councillors, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to approve it, and that extra million quid has got to come from somewhere. I wonder where. Anyway, we can talk about this later on. That's just a little bit of warning about what's going on tonight. It's probably worth watching, but don't be surprised if you sit through all of that rubbish about fire exits and council's pecuniary interest and all that sort of stuff, and then when it gets to the meaty bit, they'll go into secret session and we'll be left in the dark. I hope not. I'd love to be proved wrong on this, but I don't think we're going to find out what's going on tonight. So it'll be an interesting, extraordinary meeting. Not. See you on the next video. Look after yourselves. Take care.